Now, moving on to another issue, this particular lady I'm watching the video I was screen so she happens to be the new force spokesperson. Now, this particular lady, married ka create trim na on na Manchester na oye campaign. Ama the new force says something is coming. Now, lady, the ETA is a new force, which is supposed to be the center of attraction. He said, the center of attraction rather. Among forecaster, what is really happening now? The head and tail of all of this is that this lady ultimately, she was deported from the country. But then there's this thing at Ekoso, and me no kasi after the deportation or the same P ababe tuja or patches say. The deportation, it came as a result of something. There were forces and there were people behind her deportation. I mean, no, can say or the same P ababe tuja. I just said these things, in an interview that she had, and she was giving blow to blow by blow account of what really happened, and even some of the atrocities she suffered. A bra now or war, she was being detained at the immigration. Question some of the two Johnny be a bar a better.
Hello, we're here with Schwar Abuse, the spokesperson for the new force, and we've just learned that she was arrested, maltreated, imprisoned, and thrown out eventually of Ghana with no good reason. So we are here today to find all about it from Schwar. Good evening. What made you a target if you're just delivering a message?
I never thought that a spokesperson who is delivering a message on behalf of a movement that hasn't even been registered as a political party could have been mistaken as a political figure. But here's the catch. The African democracies, they impose threats to their own society based on the political interests of their existing parties.
And can you take us through your arrest then, please?
After the first video I did for the new force, I got a call on a Saturday evening from immigration, and they requested me to come to their office, to the headquarters on Monday. I willingly went to the immigration headquarters, and they were asking me all kinds of questions about my residency, my permit. So after tons of questions, they wanted to keep me overnight in a cell at immigration. And what I saw there was very shocking. There were so many people in that cell, I think almost 20 people. Some of them were stuck there for like 9 months. I still didn't know at that point why I was there. So the next day, I was transferred to National Intelligence.
She's not a flight risk. So what would be the reasons why you will continue to want to detain the person? For me, that would be abuse of power, and it will undermine, the respect for human rights. It will undermine the respect for dignity of a person, and it will undermine the very constitution that we all subscribe to.
Okay, so what happened after that?
I was being overprotected. My case was a national emergency at that point.
What are we afraid of? I mean, when the person was arrested, the immigration went to her home. Her home was searched. Nothing incriminating was found. She's been available to them for the past 7 days. So what security are you talking about?
And the 48-hour benchmark was approaching. So they took me to court where I heard my charges for the first time, and they denied me counsel. They didn't allow me to contact my lawyer, and they refused to let my lawyer know where I was. So I was in court without counsel at that time, and my charges were, they claimed that I forged documents to obtain a resident permit, and on top of that, they were interested in the new force. So they wanted to investigate about the new force. And at that point, I realized how powerful that video was that went out, and the words I spoke on behalf of the new force. It was so impactful that the whole nation was uprooted, and I became a national emergency.
What happened after 48 hours when they should release you without any evidence or official charges?
So because I was in court without a lawyer, I had to speak up for myself and mention to the judge that I actually do have a lawyer. So at that point, the judge said I should come back the next day. So that would mean that I would have to stay another night in the cell. It was very tough. I've never been incarcerated before. I never been through such a terrifying experience. I was just kept in the dark. Completely in the dark. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going to happen. And, you know, I was being treated as a terrorist at that point. So I was in a bunker, a dark bunker with terrible smell. No change of clothes or underwear is dangerous. And it was a horrible experience. You know, your humanity is just being stripped away at that point. No towel to even dry you after a shower. Nothing to do. Like, your mind just keeps thinking and spinning. And the anxiety, because they don't tell you what's going on. They can just leave you there for hours and hours. You don't even have realization of time. You know, just have a mattress to sleep on. So I was constantly being denied access to visitation, phone calls. It was after 4 days that I could make my first phone call. At that point, they constantly tried to deny me access to my lawyer. Even when I was being interrogated, they got really upset when my lawyer wanted to interject or protect my right. And, you know, it was very terrifying, you know, going into an interrogation without being able to speak properly to your lawyer prior.
Then you were granted bail next Monday, and you changed lawyers. Why was that?
The prosecution said I was at flight risk, that I could escape the country even when my passports were still with immigration, because they claimed the borders are porous. I was granted bail. I had to give 2 assurities, 20,000 CDs. I had to report to immigration 3 times a week. So the bail conditions were quite heavy for the charges that were mentioned. The lawyer who came in to play is Francis Xavier Sosu. He's a human rights lawyer who wanted to defend my case.
Because when you arrest a person within 24 hours, you should deal with the person. 48 hours is the maximum. The person must be released. But you keep the person for 7 days for a misdemeanor. And the court admits the person to bail, and you still want to keep the person. That is unacceptable.
So why a conspiracy?
Because if you look at the whole picture, me being invited by immigration, being incarcerated were mentioned, and it was even mentioned that it was because of political interest that I was being kept there. They wanted to investigate the case of the new force rather than about my residency. They used the charges to keep me there so they could do their investigation. Then when I was granted bail, my phone was never given back to me. After a week applying to all the bail conditions, you know, I went to immigration 3 times that week to report. After that week, all charges were dropped in court because they knew they didn't have a case. And when I came outside of the court after being declared a free woman with a clean criminal record, I was rearrested by over 10 immigration officers in a forceful way. I was told that my resident permit at that point was been revoked, but there were no paperwork or documentation to prove the revocation. Normally you have to present those documents in court so the lawyer can fight it in a legal and honest way, which didn't happen. They pushed me in a van forcefully. They took me back to immigration. They said I had to leave the country within 24 hours, and they also didn't give me any documentation to deport me, basically. So after that, they transported me back to NIB, where I was being kept as a prisoner once again for a whole day. My lawyer went to file an injunction so we could fight the deportation, but they never gave us the chance. So nobody could bring my stuff, pack a bag for me. I was just pushed on a plane in the evening. I never got my phone until I was dropped on the plane. I didn't have money on me. I didn't have my ID cards. So if you look at the whole story, all laws have been overruled by the call of one person. And I'm asking the question then, if we live in a democracy. That's what makes me say that it's a conspiracy. It was premeditated. and they knew they wanted to do this from the start.
Tell us how this traumatic experience affected you.
It was traumatic, but it inspired me. The things that I have seen really woke me up because I didn't know the situation. To the woman who was kept with me at NIB for 4 months without any hearing, no lawyer, nothing, that woke me up. And I just felt a strong urge to bring a change and to be a voice of people who don't have anybody fighting for them outside, because I had people who were trying to get me out, and my case was being heard because of the influence, and they're not being heard by anybody. And I'm asking the question then, if we live in a democracy. Those 7 days were hell, but the last thing that I want to be is a victim. I want to be the voice of the voiceless who go through similar.
Okay, so we've heard this, and the woman has said her bit. Is there a possibility that she will ever return to Ghana?
Say, on my deported, and I'm going to say.
Yeah. So is there a possibility say be on some mana bagana be mana and I just say be a MPP fiso?
Avia, I don't know if there can be a chance, but since I who say cheddar ne onuna you be odi anim ne dey, it looks like it's not scary anymore. First na say ehun kakra yentimi kire say oye nipa ne hu ya assassin no say ne. So yes, I'm going for twetweti Boko Haram for Ibiga. If they say they ebia now base me assign my number beam, but Obabi mu krampona. Are you going to compensate her or something? Because she said a lot.
Okay. Regardless, we'll give you more updates as all of this out.